Episode 3.
Diving. 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 Diving.
What do we think about them?
Diving. Diving. From glory. Diving. Diving. From glory. Diving. Glory.
Yes, sir. Welcome back. Diving for Glory. It's episode 3, season 2. Your host, Pep Corsiola, my man, Sir Solomon. What up?
What's good?
Word up. This week, man, we got Mourinho's United doing those Mourinho things. We love it. Chelsea and Arsenal, London Derby there. We got preview for Bundesliga. We're going to look at Serie A. Juve gets stretched to the very end of the game. Please remember, Diving for Glory posts every Monday on divingforglory.com as well as iTunes. With all that being said, jersey tuck, boots lace, just the cup. Let's go.
Yep.
Word 'em up. All right, man. We're going to start London, where most Premier League games of any note happen.
Says the Manchester City fan.
I know. I said most. With all that being said, Chelsea, Arsenal. Tell us a little bit about it, Sir Solomon.
Obviously the most anticipated game of the weekend, and I was surprised to find that Hazard was left on the bench. I guess they're working him back in slowly. Sarri was fine with playing Willian and Pedro alongside Morata in the front, and also Big Ross Barkley gets to play for Chelsea in the midfield. Kovacic, I guess, is deemed not ready yet. So it was an interesting team selection that lacked some creativity, was what I thought beforehand.
And 20 minutes in, it proved to bear fruit with Pedro and Morata.
Who needs creativity when the opposition's defense can create it for you? You're playing against a bad team. That almost looked like a layup line at one point, because like, you try, you score. And last week, what we talked about, I said, I hope they don't score. It cannot be your defensive game plan.
2-0, buddy of Arsenal friend of mine was like, this feels like a 5-0. I was like, damn, dude, have a little faith, my man. Damn.
All those chants of, are you Wenger in disguise, came out in the stands to Unai Emery. And then they immediately go, after they go down 2-0, they look completely discombobulated. First off, starting in defense, they have Hector Bellerin, who has been consistently getting abused by whoever his opponent is lately, it seems. And they have a defender who they spent a lot of money on, Mr. Socrates, who is a very good defender that does not fit the style of football they're trying to play. When Chelsea, back in the day when they had the Portuguese coach, not Mourinho, but Andres Villas-Boas, he tried to instill a system where they played the ball out of defense, and that immediately fucked John Terry's football style up, because that's not how you, like, you can't play a high line, and he's not that fast, he's not that good of playing football, so you have to play a little further back, and their style of play is so far up that they're exposing a guy that shouldn't be on an island by himself, and he gets used a lot.
And used he did. However, Arsenal fought back in the first half, and they, to my surprise, they turned it around pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
In this match.
After last week's game, Ozil and Mkhitaryan were killed for basically not showing up for the performance. And this week, Henrik Mkhitaryan actually came through and came to ball. Mesut Ozil, I don't know, man. He's done. I think at this point in his life, he's just a bench player if he's at Arsenal. Like, if you start him in big games, you're fucked. But anyways, Henrik Mkhitaryan makes one goal. He literally makes it and then scores it. And then a few minutes later proceeds to assist on an excellent team play for Alex Iwobi to score.
Yeah, there was a few minutes there where Arsenal was looking as Chelsea was looking as bad defensively as Arsenal was, because they had about, I mean, honestly, dude, it should have been 4-2 at halftime. Arsenal,
absolutely. Aubameyang had a shocker of a fucking game. He was completely absent, and on the two chances that he got, one of which at the end of the first half, he basically had an open goal, and he just decided no, thank you, and kicked over it. So
dude,
that didn't help the
bad.
situation. Chelsea's defense is bad, and like I didn't get into it because we were talking about the Arsenal Socrates situation, but in Chelsea, they have the coach who's super offensive has decided that as long as he's got Jorginho back there connecting his defense and his midfield, Kante can go out and do whatever he wants.
Which is amazing.
Which I think once Kovacic gets here, because Kovacic, if you saw in the second half when he came on, he covers a lot of ground. So once he gets here, the two of them together might cause havoc. But the Ross Barkley, Kante, just flying all over the place move was a little much, and Jorginho's not that fast. Like, you can't. And he's isolated.
I get it is clear in a very short amount of time that Jorginho operates, from the back. He likes the long balls.
Oh, yeah, very much Pirlo.
Like almost exactly, right?
Yeah.
And I think, and then you see Kante in there going for headers and shit. And does that take away from Kante? Does that take away what he excels at?
That's what I'm saying. If Kovacic is on the defensive side, as rugged, not to say as good as him, but like if he goes after his defensive responsibilities just as much, and Pedro keeps running the way he does when Hazard is in, it's actually a team that can cause havoc with that. But I think the man by design is going to have too offensive of a team. And that's just sorry ball, dude. It's balls to the wall.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
But like if it was me, I'd have a double pivot where they would both kind of stay back a lot more, and you get Kante covering a lot more space in that area, but you'd have him closer to Jorginho. Like, I think he's pushing him way too far up.
Way too far up.
Way too far up. And I don't think that he's as effective. Like, he will get the ball of some guys, but at that far distance, the distance between the defenders or the defender and the midfielder is very far. So he can't be as effective. You want him as close to the middle of the field, chasing down people in a small place, and that's when you get the best out of N'Golo Kante.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I sit in my bed and watch these games, and I feel like this is an obvious one. With all that being said, Arsenal, too. So they go in half 2-2. Man, Arsenal clearly should have been up. Statistically, they just rebounded so nice. But second half, it looked like both teams kind of, fixed their defensive issues to a point, except like Arsenal just motivationally did not look like they were here to play.
I think they did. Arsenal fixed their defensive issues by putting Guendouzi. I'm just gonna call him Gwen from here on out. Because that's too much going on. And he's got, he does kind of look a little bit like Gwyneth.
He was one of the bright spots for me.
But what I'm saying is, he's a top player since he got there. And I told you in our preview that it's only a matter of time between Torreira is going to take over Xhaka's place. And the halftime sub was exactly that.
Torreira for sure. Yeah.
And when he came in, the two of them, which is what I would envision for Jorginho and Kante, the two of them together kind of looked like they controlled the midfield, and it looked like they calmed everything down a little bit.
At the expense of pretty much any offensive.
But how can you get offensive when you practice? No. My question is, though, it's not, that wasn't at the expense of, because like even when Xhaka was there, they weren't getting any more offensive. If your number one playmaker that you're paying £300,000 a week does not show up to the game,
Ozo.
you're fucked.
So I'm just looking at the stats from the first half to the second half of Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal was dreadful in the second half. Three total shots, man. Like it just did nothing. 35% possession, which was about the
games
same.
that show you that that's not dreadful. 3 shots in the second half. Jose.
Totally, I know. Totally dominated by Chelsea in that second half. But it took Chelsea a while to break through, and I think that I think it was clear to everybody who watched with the introduction of Eden Hazard that game changed.
Oh yeah, and the only reason the game was still a game was because Eden Hazard was on the bench, and the guy that replaced him was Willian. He had an absolute shit of a game.
Let's not forget Lacazette's contribution to this final result.
Oh yeah. Lacazette came off the bench, managed to be a fucking cunt at the end, gave up the ball and got beat. Like, he did his thing, but I'm glad Chelsea won it. Chelsea's the one that deserved it. Chelsea's the better team. Chelsea has bigger ambitions. Like,
okay,
man, fuck that Arsenal shit.
So nothing.
You got a bunch of mediocre players being coached by a mediocre manager.
So again, no surprises here. You learned nothing new about these two teams that you didn't think you knew before?
I think that I found out that Chelsea might be a little too offensive for their own good.
Okay.
But in due time, I think they're going to be one of, if not the most fun team to watch this season. You know how Liverpool was last season?
Yeah.
I think Chelsea might be that this year.
Give up a bunch of 4-3 games and shit.
Yeah.
How about Arsenal, man? They're down 6 points already. I mean, of course, City, Chelsea. It's not like unheard of.
There are two teams that they're going to be finishing behind. They're clearly better than them. I think they can turn it around and have a decent season, but the Champions League spots is going to be very, very, very difficult for this team because the striker is very inconsistent. Players the coaches that and ex-teammates, ex-fans of Dortmund will tell you Aubameyang is a fucking head case.
Oh, yeah.
And he will do the miraculous, but he'll also do the miraculously stupid, you know?
Yeah.
And then there's Ozil. He disappears. Mkhitaryan. He disappears. Like, how is this team going to be the team that pushes them? And is to do that? Is Unai Emery the guy to do that? He's a guy.
Well, we don't know.
He's a guy. So far, that's all he is. You know.
Yeah. No. That's what I'm saying.
But
man.
there's definitely talent. If he gets to them, like that's a team that definitely does have talent on it, and like. They have as much talent as a team like Tottenham does. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like Tottenham has it in specific spots, and they're top. But
Yeah. No. Go ahead.
But overall, like I think they could do more if they had, in hiring coaches and stuff and backroom staff, they were more ambitious. I think they could do more. But like you can't have guys that are mediocre that you can push hard, and then not have a superstar manager to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I picked them top 4 last week. We'll see how they fare against the rest of the competition, and if they can dominate those games.
McDominate.
I mean, it looks tough for my heart was saying to me like I don't believe in any of the players. I don't believe in Lacazette. I don't believe in Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan and Ozil.
Do you think City finishes ahead of him? Yes.
Of course.
Chelsea. Yes.
Liverpool.
Yes. Tottenham.
I mean, USA is Tottenham at this point.
But what I'm saying is now
I'm irrationally predicting a drop for them.
I agree, and it's not very irrational. But what I'm saying is, now that 3 spots have been taken, Tottenham, Manchester United, and Arsenal are fighting for 1 spot.
Yep.
Even if you think they can make it, like it's a fucking hard race.
Yeah. It could be anything. So moving along to the other team you mentioned there, Manchester United. Coming off last season's late season loss to Brighton. Way to follow this up.
Hove!
Tell us about it.
So another big team lost to a team in blue 3-2.
Yeah.
After going down 2-0 and making a match out of it by the Lukaku goal, which funnily enough, that Lukaku goal, it took them until the 73rd minute before they had another goal on target.
That's ridiculous, dude.
Okay, so United started in a 4-3-3. They have Pereira, Fred, and Pogba in the midfield. I don't know why this Pereira guy, where he came from, why he's there. Is he going to be the McTominay of this season? We do not fucking know, but he's not.
Not even a signing, is he? He's like a
kid
bring back from loan. Right?
Yeah, some shit. But like all of a sudden, like he's starting. Like just.
Yeah.
And in up front in the 4-3-3, they have Martial, Lukaku, and Mata. This is confusing because you can't have two guys that you've been freezing out both start on the same fucking day. Like, what's your team? Like, they have no fucking identity. And you know what Brighton has?
Yeah, what?
A fucking identity.
Like, the 1 week that I turn you up, you are the loudest you've ever been.
Yes! You've been bitching for a year, so now I'm going to be loud.
Oh, shit. It's that Nigeria, son. It's that Nigeria.
Legendary.
No, you're good. Sorry to break that. With all that being said, all right, so, I mean, but the first half is a travesty for United.
Yeah. Eric Bailey.
I like that kid, man. He's fast.
I like him. But you know what they have? They have Eric Bailey, Chris Smalling, Lindelof, Rojo. In them, they have...
Not inspiring.
No. You know, they have 4 guys that are really good defenders if they have a really good defender playing with them.
Yeah.
When you play 2 of them together, that's not good, dude.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Like, you need, like, a guy like Ferdinand, a guy like Vidic. Like, it's not just that they play. They organize defenses. Yeah. They lead like that. And they don't have that. And Eric Bailey is good. He's a physical good guy. Like, he can play football, but he's raw. Yeah. Lindelof, same thing. You know, one guy is European raw, one guy is African raw, and they're just standing around, and they need a guy.
They need that company, that PK.
And then, who's the holding midfielder to organize them?
Fred?
And Pereira.
And Pereira.
Okay, so, like, where is this leadership coming from in the spine of the team?
Yeah, I agree. No Chris Smalling yet this year.
Again, who cares?
There's a guy who started a lot of games last year. There's a guy who went and played World Cup for England. I'm just saying, if you're talking about on that team, a guy that can be the organizer, that can be that guy, he's the closest thing they have to it, which is why I mentioned him.
Isn't he the guy that made Harry Maguire worth 100 million pounds by losing his spot to him?
Hey, man. Is that a talent? Must be. All right, man. 3-1.
Glenn Murray and Shane Duffy fucking run riot.
Yeah.
Like, they were all over the place. Like, it wasn't even just the 2 goals. Like, Brighton and Hove Albion dominate. They bossed this game.
Yeah.
And their team sheet, I saw on Twitter, somebody say it sounds like a heavy night out. Because they have Bong, they got Duffy, they got some Glenn.
Yep.
But apparently they gave Manchester United a serious hangover because they came out of there and everybody wanted to sing like some fucking snitches, man.
Pogba even admitting after the game that his attitude wasn't right. Like, that's a shot at the manager.
I think he got ahead of himself and pulled himself back the wrong way. He was like, they deserved the game more. They wanted it more than we did. And then he was like, shit, I'm getting in trouble for this. He was like, yeah, I wasn't in the right attitude. If he had just ended it halfway through his sentence, though, it would have been a much bigger
deal.
Issue, yeah.
Interesting. These statistics read like a baseball game. 9 total shots for Manchester United to Brighton 6. Brighton batting 3 for 6.
Yeah, Manchester United 3 for 9.
3 for 9.
And one of them being the goal Lukaku scored.
Yep.
One of them is a Pogba miss.
Yep.
Penalty. How can that be a shot on target?
I mean, that's unacceptable, dude. Like, there's
against
such
Brighton and Hove Albion, who is
such a gap in talent.
A championship team. Not even like they're expected to be a relegation struggler. They don't score enough, but dude, they put it on. And David De Gea, big shout, Bush Doctor Teddy. He sent me a statistic for Spain and Manchester United. The last 14 shots David De Gea has faced, 10 goals.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow.
I still think he's the best in the world, But he's going through a
Going
moment.
through a little, yeah. That's a hell of a moment, dude. They batting Ted Williams on you, man. Damn.
I mean, he got a Mourinho team that has no identity, and then a team that fired their coach the day before a World Cup.
Yeah.
Like, he was not like exactly
he's not like playing in front of or playing behind.
like the old like Piqué and you know.
Yep, it's true.
Anyways.
So, I mean, they barely even battle back to this. They don't really produce anything. I mean, they take this L, man, 3-2. Just super uninspiring. I mean, is this just speeding along to the inevitable conclusion that everybody thinks it is?
Yeah, I think it is, and I think it's actually accelerating, which is surprising because I like 2 games into the season, and how much has been talked by
Josie likes to be off by Boxing Day. Year by year. 3.
I know, like I said November, and I'm thinking it's not even gonna happen. Is what I'm saying.
Like in
this
October. When's that international break?
dude, they won one game. Pogba talk shit. They won the second. They lost the second game, and Mourinho, they're like, "Oh, who do you think is to blame?" And he's like, "Well, if I mention one guy, then you're gonna make it." Da, da, da. Like, we know you're saying Pogba too. Like,
we know, man. We know. Yeah, tough out
it's
there.
inevitable. Like, why does the whole world see it except for fucking Ed Woodward?
I know. Well, no. I mean, they got a big name, and I think that was the thing for them when they brought him in.
Okay, fire him and make another mistake.
Agree. Do something. Do something. No,
Anything.
You're right. Woodward, though. With all that being said, Brighton with a huge 3 points here. That coach is now 2-0-3 versus Jose Mourinho. Something it took Arsene Wenger. Shit, did he ever get 2 wins against Josie?
I think so, but like one of them was a shit game. Anyways, 28 tackles to 12 will do that for you.
Yeah.
He got in.
For sure.
Bong was in the end. Did you see Fred lost his mind and tried to kick out at one of the guys, like try to leave it in late?
Wow.
Yeah, like, by the way, he's been shit.
Yeah.
A Brazilian Bakayoko.
Dude, pretty stoked that City lost that interest. But I'm not that stoked about the Jorginho thing. That would have been awesome. All right, man. That's it. We could spend no more time on the rerun of Jose Mourinho and Man United.
True. But one more thing. Rudiger and Christensen, way better than Lindelof and Bailey.
Dude,
that's
like
a great
miles.
starting point.
That's a miles, dude. Yes. All right, moving along. We trek on over to Serie A, where Ronaldo got his debut as the league debuted with Chievo Verona.
Yes.
Versus Juventus, champion, 7 times in a row champion, Juventus.
Apparently, you don't appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, 7 times in a row, Bayern Munich. I mean, whatever, man. It's gonna be look back like we look at the UCLA shit now. It's kind of like, okay,
legendary.
I mean, a way, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's how you remember that shit.
I mean, you do, but there's perspective on it all, right? Like, it's like, okay, well, they had 2 of the biggest 7-footers in history, and like there were like 4 other ones in
they got
the
to
whole
the Champions League final in that stretch too, so it wasn't exactly
No,
they were
for
just
sure.
dominating some shit teams only.
Oh, for sure. They're a great organization at this point, and they went out this year and made a huge signing, Ronaldo, and then they opened up against a team that fought relegation last year. Tell us about it, Sir Solomon.
We talked about how Brighton and Hove were getting stuck in, and that's how they beat Manchester United.
Yep.
Well, Chievo gave up 72% of the possession to Juventus, but their 23 tackles to Juventus' 11 kept them in it. It's a tough game.
You got to go. Oh,
It was a tough game. And I didn't understand. Juve tried to, I think, play to the fans a little bit, and they wanted to get super offensive on Ronaldo's debut. So they played Ronaldo, Dybala, Cuadrado, and Costa, and it seemed like a kind of an imbalanced team. Pjanic and Khedira behind them are... Neither one of them is that mobile, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it seemed like there was a little gap between them, and they fucking got him. Fucking Stupinski in the 38th minute. I mean, fucking, to begin with, Khedira scoring that 3rd-minute goal should have made it the dream debut.
Yeah.
Scores early. But then Chievo come back in it. They They really hold their own. Try to get them on the counter successfully. Fucking Stepinski gets them. Stepinski. And then in the second half, they get a penalty and Giaccherini scores it. They get a 2-1 lead. Still, Ronaldo's shooting everything he fucking sees, but not really in the flow of it.
Yeah, but he was active.
He was active. He did his thing. I'll give you his stats. And he did his thing. It's not even just shots. He created two. He had 9 shots. He had 4 on target, 2 key passes. He had, like if those 2 key passes were scored, like that's assist,
Yep.
He had 1 goal almost, but the guy gave him a welcome to Italy moment and did a nice clearance, got him the fucking way of it. But Ronaldo did his thing. Like everybody's not expected to score on their debut. And the good thing is, Juventus, which they should all find encouraging, is that they pulled out of it and managed a 3-2 win and didn't. That's one thing about this team, is that there are a lot of veterans, so they won't suffer from Ronaldo dependency as much, I think.
Well,
so we'll see how it goes.
Let's talk about how they got that 3-2 win, though.
Yes, sir.
At the 93rd minute.
Yes, after Bani own goal in the 75th minute ties it. It took until the 93rd minute for super sub Bernardeschi.
Federico.
Yeah. Oh, Federico.
Federico.
Yes, Bernardeschi comes on, and in the 92nd minute, he puts it to sleep.
Yeah, a really nice cross right into the box, and he just stuck his foot out, man, changed the direction of the ball.
And just in case you're wondering, he did not come on for Ronaldo. Ronaldo is still there.
He
played the whole fucking game.
Of course he did.
Yes. They scored 3 goals. Even their opponent scored 3 goals, and Ronaldo didn't score a goal.
Wonder how happy he is about that. You know how that goes.
Dude, you know how I'm sure he gets such a big scoring bonus that I completely understand his feelings.
True. That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? It's probably like a $75,000 difference between scoring and not scoring.
True. It all matters, man. Some good performances all the way around, man. Who was your guy here that stood out for you?
I want to give it to the Bernardeschi as the super sub, because that game was like a 2-2, and it was a fair 2-2. Kievo really worked, even though they're called the Flying Donkeys. They deserve the game. But yeah, I'm gonna give it to Bernardeschi. He won it in the death. I like that.
No doubt. Well, successful debut, at least from a team perspective for Ronaldo and Juventus. We are going to move along to probably one of the only other teams that could have afforded a Ronaldo but have no space for him at the moment, which is PSG. And they were away here at Guingamp.
Something.
Guingamp.
Yeah, that place.
Got that guap.
Yeah. But anyways, they're going to remember the name next time.
Oh, yeah.
They put him in the fucking Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel. Tuchel. I don't know how you say it. Anyways, I told you before that he doesn't really give a fuck about big name players, and we're going to see how this works out, because he started the game with basically his ICC team from the summer. He put in Timothy Weah, George Weah's son.
Yeah.
He put in Colin Dagba, Chris Nkunku, Antoine Brandy. These are academy guys, which is awesome that he played them, but it's going to be a problem at some point, because big name guys on the kind of wage packages that PSG give out are not going to sit down and just
not that deep of a team.
They're not that deep of a team, but they had to get rid of Pastore. They had to get rid of Lucas because
spend
of
$500,000.
Yeah,
on
financial fair
two
play.
players.
They're on some sort of probation. They're kind of standing in the corner.
Yeah,
but so they decided what would be great, what would be fun. Let's start the game with Mbappe on the bench, because this is Neymar's time to shine.
It's a French guy though, man. You gotta give him rest.
Yeah, he won the Coupe du Monde.
The Coupe du Monde. But yeah. No. I agree with that decision, man. Let that dude fuck it, because you're gonna win the league. You know it, and you need him later in the year.
Yeah, I don't
That's my
think that
thinking.
Timothy Weah was ready for that.
He wasn't, and he showed it.
I don't think that benching Mbappe to start the game was as big a deal as playing Timothy Weah over him. So
Lo Celso, maybe throw him up top.
I guess let's see. I would
I mean,
think
if you're gonna do something like that, that was my suggestion.
yeah, like more so him than. But I just fucking played Mbappe.
But Guingamp came out to play, man.
They came out to play.
I mean, they were active. Scored 1-0 in the 20th
No,
minute.
now Root. Assisted by Marcus
Root.
Coco.
Root.
Yeah, Coco assisted Root, and they were up. And
they should have
They
been
went in at halftime 1-0, even though they should have had
another goal.
Yes.
Yeah, they had one pulled back on VAR, I believe, right?
on VAR, but like VAR has been shown to be iffy.
It's ran by humans. Guess what?
Like
It's
for
not gonna be
example,
perfect.
I think it was the La Liga game where he had an option. No, I think one of the early Juve games, the Serie A games. The referee allowed the goal that was controversial and denied the option of using VAR. Like he just went on with his day.
Okay.
And that's what, like, I'm like, you need to have a structure. There needs to be, if you're going to do that, then there needs to be
Goal.
rules.
On a goal, dude. Like a goal, it should be like automatic replay. Like it shouldn't even be somebody in the booth can look at that shit, man.
And
this
this
is real
don't call,
basic.
yeah, like they're doing a dance for like fucking 4 minutes after the goal. You can't look at one, like, we watch 18 replays while they dance, they hug each other, they walk back to the circle. All this time, like you can't figure out what the
Somebody
fuck.
could have looked at it, man. Yeah, man. So they get one taken away from. Could have been 2-0, and then they meet the guillotine.
No, at halftime, 1-0. They come back, and Timothy Weah is no longer there, and Mbappe has come in for him. The football, like they get super stretched at that point, and Neymar had an interesting game. Neymar did
stretched his neck out and dove for glory a little bit.
He did, but
It is going to be a foul. Like,
check this out. He had a really, really good game. He had 100 fucking touches for a forward. That's a lot.
damn.
He had 100 touches. He had 3 shots only, which I'm surprised at. He had 2 on target, so one of which he scored. He had 5 key passes. He had 5 successful dribbles. So awesome game.
Yeah.
7 unsuccessful touches. So yeah, he did a lot, but that's because of looking at his 100 touches, like he was just hogging a lot too. Like he was doing a lot of ISO, and yeah, you're gonna get those stats, but that's just a little too much ISO for you, you know.
Yep.
Mbappe comes in, he has 30 touches max. He has 3 shots, 2 on target, 4 successful dribbles, 1 unsuccessful touch only, and he has 2 goals.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, make the ball work. Don't just stand there. Like the main statistic is trying to get the win.
I appreciate your translation of statistics because, like I tell my friends all the time, statistics are just part of a larger picture. Like, they don't tell the entire story of what's going on, but they sure help. But, yeah, so Mbappe's on at halftime. Takes him a while to strike, though, but when he does, strike he does.
Yes. He has a double and 82nd and 90th minute. And that kid, I'm telling you, like Neymar, this is last season in PSG.
Yeah, he'll be peace. The Real Madrid. My
Maria
guess.
had a good game. He's about to extend.
Yep. The last goal by Mbappe was in the 90th. Was sick. Chipped over the goalie.
Yeah, that was tres mal.
So sick, son. The numbers of this game read like almost like you would think they would, but like you said, Guingamp came to play. I think we know who the standout players of this game were: Neymar, Mbappe. Anybody else? You said Di Maria got it in.
Just bad. Like you didn't really learn much about it. Timothy Weah needs to be more of a super sub. I don't think that he's ready to be starting. And
I meant to mention that Chievo Verona has not beaten Juventus since 2010. However, Guingamp, whatever the fuck, they have beaten. Of their last 4 matches, they have won 2 against PSG. Got that number, little bit. Word them up. We're about to move to the next section. Yeah. All right, man. Midfield. We're gonna hit you with a couple reviews and then a preview. So let's start with the review of La Liga because we talked about none of the games, but we were hyped. It's the first weekend. Barcelona, Atletico. Actually, Barcelona, Real Madrid already played. Atletico is in action today versus Valencia. I wish we could watch or talk or do something about that game. But with all that being said,
Watch that shit.
are you watching it now? You got it on? So, oh, you're just going to DVR.
I think it starts at 4, right?
I think that's on now. Yeah. But either way, La Liga gets off to a wonderful start with 3 wonderful goals by Levante on the opening Friday.
Yes, Levante
They
shot
need-
the shit out of Betis.
Yeah, smash. Yeah, Atletico Madrid is up 1-0 on Valencia right now with a goal by Angel Correa in the 26th minute. D4G giving you that live info, son. Word them up. So Girona and Real Valladolid. Ah, nice. Real Valladolid. Battle to a 0-0 draw. Levante shock Betis 3-0. Crazy stats on that game, I believe. Just like you would imagine.
Marti and Morales. Morales gets a double, and one of them is in the 9th. There's been a lot of after 90th minute goals this weekend. It was a fun fucking welcome back for a lot of football. And Betis is funny. They bought all those players, and they've been like, I think it's definitely a team on the up and up. But like you're gonna see even later when we get into our Serie A roundup, when you put together a new team, it's gonna take time. And fucking Levante, being a veteran-ass team, jumped on them, and they had them 2-0 down and being booed in their fucking home opener.
Hey, man, that's how it goes. Rightfully so.
I'm respecting that. I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It's supposed to be a Betis celebration, and they're like, nah.
Nah, and Levante needs all that, man. Battle for relegation, even though relegation was decided quite early last year. They're usually in that battle, so they'll take all 3 of those points. Saturday, get it cranking with Celta Vigo with the draw with Espanyol. Celta Vigo, one of the highest scoring teams last year in La Liga.
True, but in this game they scored 0 goals. The game ended tied 1-1 because Espanyol scored both those goals. One own goal.
Nope. One of the games we earmarked, Villarreal hosting Real Sociedad, ends in a slightly surprising fashion, seeing that Villarreal opened that scoring up.
Yes, slightly surprising, but 2 teams on about the same plane in terms of expectation, I would say. And exciting to see Santi Cazorla. Big up yourself, youth.
Yes.
Coming back, he played 72 minutes of Santi Cazorla football for Villarreal. It was nice to see that.
Sociedad with the 2-1 victory.
Yes. Moreno puts Villarreal early, like you said. But Willian Jose and Juanmi get the win.
Juanmi? Like
Sociedad is a team that's actually funny because they travel pretty decent. They get results away from home.
Yeah.
But teams don't. Like, I guess they're like the San Diego Chargers of the La
the
Liga.
home team. Yeah, I remember you.
They don't
mentioned
give a fuck about going to Sociedad to play. It's just this beautiful town, and they're going to relax and beat them.
Yeah. Speaking of teams getting beat on, Barcelona put it on Deportivo Alaves.
Yes, Barcelona ended this game with as many goals as Deportivo Alaves has shots, 3-0. So,
but it wasn't that cut and dry, was it? This took about to the 65th minute.
Due to excellent defense, goalkeeper play, and also Barca just missing a fuckload. Side note: Luis fucking Suarez. I want to go on vacation with that dude. He must have the most amazing fucking vacation.
He always comes back a little chunky.
You could tell he didn't think one iota about football for days that he's not playing football.
Yeah.
He gets fit when the season starts. He's on the Shaq routine. I'm going to get fit on your time.
Yeah, for real. I'm with that.
Dude, he was like, Dembele spent last season getting shit from the world. So he's running. Like, he's still raw. He's got work to do. He's setting him up for 1-2s and he's just kicking him into the air. just being a total like negative, dude. Even like at the end, he padded his stats because he like sent the ball over the defense for Messi to finish right at the end, so he got an assist. But he had such a shit game, dude.
So Messi with the brace, 3-0 Barcelona victory.
Did you see the goals?
Yes.
Okay. The goal under the free kick the free kick that opened the scoring was really good. The finishing on the third goal was spectacular. Coutinho, like there were 3 world-class goals. And Messi, you remember how I talked about Neymar's touches and how many unsuccessful touches he had?
Yeah.
Can I hit you with a little number?
Yeah.
Aye. Well, Messi had 111 touches.
Damn.
He had 8 shots, 4 on target, 2 goals, and 2 of the other shots hit the woodwork.
Damn.
5 key passes, 6 successful dribbles. You know how many unsuccessful touches Messi had on this day?
1.
0.
Damn. That's amazing.
7 we talked about earlier.
Damn. That's amazing. Alaves, step your game up, son.
That's what you got out of that.
Come on, man. Let this guy do that to
They
you.
kind of started in a 4-4-2, which really didn't work. Semedo is a right back with Dembele as a winger on one side and Sergio Roberto as a winger on the other side. And there was too much space. In the second half, they switched out Semedo, brought Roberto back to right back, and brought in Coutinho. And that's when it started taking really, really well.
There it is. Okay. Barcelona opening up where they left off last year with victories. Eibar hosting Huesca.
Anyways, fuck them. They won. They lost. Dude, Ter Stegen's footwork is amazing. He came out to fucking clear a ball and didn't even clear it. He just dribbled it around the dude really casually. Like he's about 20 meters outside of his fucking penalty area.
Yeah, the kid is nice, man. It's really nice. As I mentioned, Huesca defeated Eibar 2-1. Those Huesca being one of the newer teams, the newly promoted teams, 2-1. They'll take all 3 of those points, expecting them to see a relegation battle this year. Sevilla versus newcomers Rayo Vallecano, and they waxed that ass.
Yes, they definitely waxed that ass, but big story here is Andre Silva, who after having a terrible, terrible season in fucking AC Milan, is on loan here, and he starts off his campaign with the first La Liga debut hat-trick of the 21st century.
Damn!
Alright?
Yeah. Considering who's played in the league, that's quite amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, waxed them, man. Nice goals. Andre Silva, we'll see if he can redeem himself, man. He lost a little luster.
He has one more goal. He's going to match his season from last year.
Yeah.
He has 37 games to get it.
And luckily he's on loan, I think, too. So AC can pull that back if they need.
Yeah, I think it's just a good situation for him here.
Yeah, I was thinking La Liga probably fits him a little better. For the first time in a very long time, Real Madrid took the field without Ronaldo on their squad. And not that it didn't make that much of a difference, but from a result standpoint, they still walked away with the 2-0. Gareth Bale with the goal.
And Carvajal with a really, really nice poacher's goal. He headed the rebound over the goalkeeper's head. And that was pretty cool. Gareth Bale is hungry to fill Ronaldo's shoes. You can tell by his play. You can tell the team is also kind of looking to him. The one thing that Real Madrid is going to really be watching this season, though, is can he have a season?
Can he have a season?
Because he always is hurt for a majority.
It's true. It's true.
He can definitely have games. We know that. Can he have a season?
The rest of the league plays today. As mentioned, Valencia is down to Atletico Madrid 0-1 at halftime, and Athletic Bilbao and the Legends of Leganes play this afternoon at 4 p.m.
Let's go.
Serie A is up next. So as mentioned, we mentioned the Juventus game. Got it cracking on Saturday. Another pretty big game. was super white nationalist Lazio. Lazio.
Trumpio?
Hosting Napoli.
Yeah, that was actually one of the more exciting games, anticipation-wise. And Lazio, having kept Sergio Milinkovic-Savic, which is a very short name that's easy to remember, have stuck with their five-man midfield with Ciro Immobile up front, and it worked for a certain amount of time because Ciro Immobile got them ahead. But the new Napoli under Carlo Ancelotti had a lot to say, and by new I mean like even players that he kept, he's playing in different positions. So it was interesting.
It was. Dries Mertens started on the bench, but he came in and was pretty impactful.
Yes.
I thought.
Yes, he was very impactful, and the other thing is he moved the Bosnian Marek Hamzik into the Jorginho role, which Marek Hamzik's biggest thing that he brings to the table is a Lampard-like timing where he comes at behind the primary attack and gets that shot off because he's the first in the secondary group, and picks up a lot of goals doing that kind of stuff and playing him that deep, which he's not even that good at. He wasn't bad in this game because Lazio is not that creative of a team because they lost Luis Alberto to West Ham in the summer too. He was one of their few creative players, and Napoli, even though they have growing pains, were clearly the better team. This was like a manifestation of the Arsenal-Chelsea game, and Lazio playing the role of Arsenal, and Napoli is playing the role of the Sarri team.
Absolutely. We talked about Lazio last year, and you mentioned their racist background or their racist history, basically.
Yeah, and their families, the ultras, have been known to put up signs supporting certain Serbian warlords. Players have been known to do the fascist salute, the El Duce salute to them, and this is all part of the day for them.
The Ultras released a letter advising women to not sit in the first 10 rows of their section because this is a sacred place.
Not for no veg.
Feel free to sit 10 rows in back. It's funny as hell, man. They're crazy.
And they're just killing Italian stereotypes, man. Like,
I know.
I thought Italian guys just wanted the women everywhere.
I know, exactly, man. Like, get in there. Mix it up. Mix it up. Nah, man. Torino hosting Roma. This ended 1-0 on a wonder goal, in my opinion, by Edin Dzeko.
Yes, besides the fact that you fucking absolutely love that name.
I do. That's my dude.
But yeah, he's been carrying Roma on his shoulders for quite a while, and even after they lost Mo Salah, like, he's still been making it happen last season. Did his thing in the Barca game when they made the miraculous comeback. He's starting off this season, but the most intriguing thing I found out of this was that super sub Patrick Kluivert's son, Justin Kluivert, is who crossed the ball for him to get his goal.
Really?
Yes,
ooh, nice. It was a cross that Dzeko pulled out of midair. I mean, did not let that bounce and caught it on a beautiful volley to the opposite corner of the goal. It was beautiful, man, for the game.
As long as there's not running involved, Dzeko is a fucking killer.
And that was why I always liked him for City, because City played that possession-based ball, and like if you couldn't like dink it in there, 1-2-1-2, he would come on and just be so direct. You just
in the Aguero game, like when he came on,
Yep.
the ball was moving really well. Yeah.
Yep, for sure. So Roma start the year in a wonderful fashion. Parma hosted Udinese, and 2-2 draw here. Two teams probably end up fighting for lower tier spots.
Udinese will probably finish somewhere in mid-table, and we'll see what Parma does. It's good to see them back, though. Talked about the Hoops jerseys last time. Big up Parma. Nice to see you back. And 2-2 Udinese was a team that has tied a lot of people over the last couple of seasons, so that's kind of par for their course.
Okay. One of the bigger defeats of the entire weekend across all the leagues. Sassuolo pull out a 1-0 over Inter Milan. Inter tipped to challenge this year a little bit.
I was telling you earlier that we'd come back to that point about teams that are just now being assembled, and Inter is basically like they played a lot of guys that were on the team, but if you look at it, they started Asamoah, Lautaro Martinez, and Stefan de Vrij, and sub in Keita Balde. Like this is 4 guys that were not on the team like a month ago.
Yeah.
So it's this is the time where you're gonna pick them off, because I think Luciano Spalletti doesn't know their strengths and weaknesses just yet. So they only had 3 shots on target.
Sassuolo with new striker Kevin Prince Boateng.
Who, if you give Kevin Prince Boateng money, he'll be whatever you want him to be. I've seen that dude play many positions for many clubs at this point.
Oh shit.
And last week he released his rap video.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited about that, man. What's
I'll
it
forward
called?
it to you.
Yes,
I think
please
it's like
do.
I'm the Prince or something.
I'm the Prince. So original.
I'll tweet that shit.
Bologna hosting Spal with the victory.
Yeah, Bologna got a red card.
Bologna red card. 1-0 Spout. Again, much valued points for a team looking at that lower tier. A 71st minute goal by Jasmine Kurtic. Jasmine. I've never heard of a dude named Jasmine.
Hey, you've heard of a dude named Allison, so why not?
So I guess so. Empoli hosting Cagliari, 2-0 victory here. Empoli's one of the new teams, are they not?
The Empoli's a seesaw team. I think they were there last year.
Okay. I think you're right.
Yeah. But they're one of the Sicilian teams, so it's interesting.
I think we are. I think it's Parma, Frosinone, and Empoli. I just blanked on that P.
I don't know. Like I said, they're a seesaw team, so they might have been the season before or something. But yeah.
Last game of the week is Atalanta hosting Frosinone. 1-0 at the current moment. They are playing 29th minute. There are 2 games that did not happen this weekend. Sampdoria at Fiorentina, or hosting Fiorentina, and AC Milan hosting Genoa.
Yes, there was some sort of bridge collapse in the region, so the 2 teams that were hosting games had to be cancelled and postponed for another time.
It's a huge bridge. It's terrible.
Yeah, sure. I'm not a bridge news network. The games got cancelled.
I know, man. It's awful, man. Awful. How dare you cancel the games? Could still get there. Is there a train in Genoa?
I know. Bridges is the only thing you have. Fuck outta here.
All right,
the
man.
bridge that the Chinese owner of AC Milan was trying to get out of town on.
I know. He's like, we built that. No.
Elias management blew it up.
Man, so that is a pretty exciting first weekend to a reinvigorated Serie A season. Word 'em up. We looked at La Liga, we looked at PSG game, we looked at Serie A and EPL games, and we need to give you a bit of a Bundesliga preview. Bayern wins. There, it's over.
The Bayern Liga.
The Bayern Liga, totally. Totally. All right, man. So let's go.
So there was a team last year that didn't really all the way challenge them, but they had a really good coach, so they got to the DFB Pokal Cup final, at which point they proceeded to beat Bayern Munich.
Frankfurt.
That team, the coach, is now the Bayern Munich coach. Oh, there was another
When you
team that
beat 'em-
finished in second place, and they had a really good midfielder. Now, Leon Goretzka plays for Bayern Munich. So, anyway...
when you beat them, they buy you. This is how it works.
Basically. Or even get a sniff. Schalke was good last year, but I think they're going to fall off this year. They had a very thin squad. And like I said, they lost Goretzka. They lost Max Meyer, who went to fucking Crystal Palace, of all places. Dortmund is going to be, I think, the closest challenger, because getting the
new coach
from Nice.
What about their striker situation?
they're going to probably play the season with the false nine situation, and I think they will be finishing in second, but that's as far as they're going to be, and I think it's going to be a distant second, probably 15, 12, 13 points, something like that.
It was 21 last year. You think it's going to be closer than that?
Yeah.
Because Bayern drop off?
Yeah, I don't think Bayern's as good as a team. I think that Bayern has been falling off for a while. And last year, that Peter Bosz experiment, if it wasn't there, Dortmund were not a bad team. But they were just like hemorrhaging points at the beginning of the season, and then they had that temporary situation. Like,
Yep, with Ancelotti.
if they started normal, I'm not saying they'd have challenged them, but it would have been about 15 points.
Yeah. All right. So Hoffenheim, surprise third place finish.
Yes, Julian Nagelsmann, we talked about last season.
The 30-year-old guy, right? Young
30,
guy.
I think, 30, 31 by now. He finished his first season by taking them to the Champions League spot, qualifying spot, and they played against Liverpool. They got eliminated. We talked about it last season. And that was the fourth place finish in Germany, which was the Hoffenheim's best ever finish. He turned around and went into the third place finish, his second season. And he will coach them for one more season, which I hope to God he finishes in second place, because that would be a great story, because after that he's going to go to RB Leipzig next year.
Like already settled, right?
Signed, announced.
Amazing. Dude, this type of shit blows me away.
Lazio last season, in the last season game of the
Yeah, we
season,
talked
played
about
a guy that just that week signed for the team that they're playing against.
I understand. I know.
I'm like, I don't get this. I'm with you.
Shit is amazing, man.
That's why I was like all with Spain when they're like, "Oh, you got a job? Fuck you," and fired their coach. I was like, "Yeah, don't talk about your other job right now."
All right. Leverkusen and Leipzig. That was next up in line as far as last year's. Leverkusen lost out on Champions League on goal differential on the last day.
Yeah, I think they missed their opportunity, and Dortmund being back is going to be really going to close up a lot of spots. You know, I think they're going to lock down second place. As far as RB, losing Keita is going to be big, but they have a good team. If Emil Forsberg and the forward, I forget his name. If they have Timo Werner, Timo Werner. If they play not like they did last season, but they play the way they played in the 2017 season, then they could be something. But I think that squad is too thin.
And you think Leverkusen can make this jump here and solidify a top four?
So saying Bayern Munich wins it. We have Dortmund, which I think we can both agree will be one of the top four. So that's one spot taken. And then after that, the opening comes, and I think that Schalke might squeeze in there. Their coach is really good, the Italian guy. They have a little more consistency. Hoffenheim, I think they're gonna fall off.
It's just kind of, you feel like it's kind of due.
Yes. Now, Frankfurt, they lost their manager. So that's a big loss. I would say RB Leipzig and Bayern Leverkusen are fighting for that last Champions League spot.
Okay. Yeah, Leverkusen with the highly touted Leon Bailey out of Jamaica, a 20-year-old kid.
Wicked kid and a great system. They're a very fun team to watch offensively.
Yeah, they got a couple other players up front that are nice as well.
Yeah, old school guy that's been there his whole career and was one of the most precocious talents, but that never really made it. I don't remember his name. This is what it means to be in a show where I'm...
So Wolfsburg should have been relegated, but since Bundesliga has a playoff, they actually won their shit and they're back in.
Yay, Wolfsburg! Yeah,
I know. So this year we get a couple new teams: Fortuna, Augsburg,
Fortuna Düsseldorf.
not Augsburg. Yeah, Fortuna. Yeah.
They're an old school team. I remember them from back in the day, watching them in Ethiopia. Fortuna Düsseldorf got fucked up.
Hey. Mönchengladbach, one of the other bigger teams here. Anybody else stand out for you? Can make a push on the top six?
No. Like, I think the top six itself is going to kind of narrow itself down to more of a top three. actually a top 2 with another couple of teams behind it. I don't think that they're all this good, and they've been hemorrhaging players for the past few seasons too. So I think that the Bundesliga might actually have a down season, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Bundesliga has been in a really tough position because of the Premier League money, and they know it. I mean, you've watched Bayern really hasn't been able to retool in the way that you would expect them to. They are getting very much older. I don't know. It's tough. Any other thoughts on the Bundesliga? Stand out? Are you looking at Pulisic this year on the American hype? They acting like he's going to make this huge
I think
jump this
Pulisic
year.
is going to be pretty fucking good. I don't know about huge jump because I think the position he plays he's gonna be good. But Bailey, I think he's gonna take the league by storm this season. Like I think he's gonna I wouldn't be surprised if he's sold in January. Like even his coach is like not sure until the transfer window closes if he's even gonna still be there. If he is, I think it's gonna be good. Serge Gnabry, after many loans and stuff, is called back to Bayern Munich. That's gonna be interesting. Leon Goretzka's first season, I'm interested to see how he does.
Yep.
The Dortmund experiment without Julian Favre, who's the new coach, and without number 9. Schürrle went over to England, so we'll see how that goes. But I think that they're going to tighten up, and once they start, because they got a couple of defenders in the summer, and they're going to tighten up their team, and once they start defending, they're going to be a good team. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun in a German league kind of way, in that it's going to be a lot of fun games that mean shit, because Bayern Munich is going to win the fuck out of it.
Pretty much.
Win the beginning. You know what they did to that team that I told you about that won the Pokal last season at the beginning of the season this year?
Well, what did they do?
They waxed them 6-1 in the fucking Super Cup beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Fucking Lewandowski, who spent the whole summer bitching about leaving. Oh, maybe that kind of stuff gets into players' heads. No. How many did they have? 4 goals?
Yep. Yep. I mean, yeah, interesting thing about Bundesliga, man. You can name a lot of players that they've lost over the past 2-3 years, but very few major incomings.
Yeah, but
it's tough out there. It is what it is.
Their recruiting is what's always been about, though. Like, even the guy, like, even when they're successful, it's those guys that they recruited that you find out about by them playing nice for them. Like, you don't see, because they're all non-profits.
Yeah.
Like that's how they're registered.
Yep.
You don't see them going out and splashing a lot of money because there isn't. Like even whether
they develop,
even without the EPL money being what it is,
yeah,
they're still constrained by their own
laws,
economic laws and system that they've placed. You know.
Okay. Interesting.
So, but the thing is, they look at it as an opportunity, and they recruit, and their scouting is really, really good, and that's why you find a lot of these guys there, like from all over the world. When you look at the German league, if you got talent and you're unheard of, they'll find you.
For sure. No, for sure. KDB came from over there. A few other players. I believe Fernandinho is Schalke. I mean, I'm honing in here on.
Yeah, I mean, there's
been no shortage of players that we can name.
Yeah,
that have come through the Bundesliga.
It's been picking up lately too, and Bundesliga is nice, but it's not next level.
It's not. With all that, man, we're gonna move on to the final section. All right, man. We're about to get into our awards. Prestigious, egregious, D4G. Let's go. Dude of the week goes to.
Dude of the week goes to Socrates. Oh, no, sorry. I meant Ozil. No, sorry. Sergio fucking Aguero.
Busted their motherfucking ass with the hat trick,
Kicked
man.
their fucking faces in.
The first goal was so nice, man. He did it was like an open goal, but he still had a lot of work to do. One pass from Ederson, he caught that and put it in the back of the net, man.
I wish I had violin music to play whenever you talk about Man City players. He's like, oh my god.
Wax eloquent on that a little bit. Goal of the week.
Goal of the week, you need to what? You need to check out your hoe.
Check that hoe. Yeah, man, Checo with the goal of the week, game winner.
Skill was good, and also timing and value of goal.
Oui.
Everything completed except running, which he doesn't do.
Oui.
Shouldn't it be CC if it's a goal that happened in La Serie A?
Yeah, I know, but all I know is French. C. Is that Spanish?
And Italian.
Oh, okay. Fuck, that's awful, man. Anyway, that's the awards, man.
Yes, as you can see, we're very cultured people out here.
Super
Worldly.
cultured, man. All right, man. Upcoming games for next week. EPL has the tasty treat of a Monday game. I hate you, EPL. Of Manchester United Tottenham. Sounds like a good nap waiting to happen.
Damn, dude.
Sorry.
The team that bought one guy against the team that bought 0 guys. Basically.
Exactly, dude. Like, go to sleep.
I
watched both games last year.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. It's still in August, so Harry Kane might or might not play.
Well, he scored. He scored finally.
Dude, they were talking about it like, yo, like Harry Kane finally scored in August and stuff. I'm like, okay.
They were singing Top of the Table for like 12 hours.
Wow.
Word up. So La Liga has a couple interesting games. Sevilla hosting Villarreal, and I wanted to bring up Girona hosting Real Madrid because Girona put it on Real Madrid last year.
Yes, they did. And this season they started off with a 0-0, and they haven't really done their thing, but I'm looking forward to them smacking that ass, Girona.
Yeah.
Pep Guardiola, big up yourself. Palace and Liverpool, still 0-0. 15 minutes into the game.
Got 2 per. Bundesliga gets it cracking with a few good matchups. It opens up with Bayern Munich at Hoffenheim, or hosting Hoffenheim. And also Borussia Mönchengladbach hosting Leverkusen, and Dortmund hosting Leipzig.
Leipzig.
It's a good weekend.
So everybody in Germany basically hates Bayern if you're not a Bayern fan, right? And Dortmund were their biggest rivals, so that was the biggest hate. Now, RB Leipzig, Dortmund, the hate in that rivalry. Remember last year they busted up the team bus and shit?
Yep.
So I think that's the biggest game of the weekend.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. That's a late game on Sunday. Serie A has a couple good matches as well, as they wanted to get their season started off on a good foot. Juventus hosting Lazio, Napoli hosting Milan, and Roma hosting Atalanta.
Funny, Napoli-Milan is actually going to be Milan's season debut, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
It should be interesting. Keep your eye out on Serie A all season this year. This is the year for that. So, guys, watch this shit. ESPN Plus, big up.
Yeah. Yep, and with that being said, this will bring us into our last section, which is like we just want to briefly touch on football coverage, because in America it's always evolving and always changing, and I'm not sure if it's like that everywhere else. It probably is, but as you know, a few years ago, BN snatched La Liga, Serie A, and Ligue 1 from under the major networks' noses, really out of nowhere. That situation has come to a head. We're not going to go into like crazy detail about it. I had to work this year, man. Like, there's no Champions League on Fox. That's been moved to Turner, which is gonna offer that by subscription on the Bleacher Report app.
They still show Champions League games on Turner, on TNT.
On TNT.
They show less.
Yeah, that's right.
They show less, and TNT is where they're gonna show Champions League. I think they're actually gonna show maybe like 100 less games of the Champions League on TV and move it to Bleacher Report. What's really affected even more so is if you have any interest in watching Europa League, other than the final, the whole of the Europa League in the United States is going to be on Bleacher Report app.
Yep. Interesting.
Serie A is now on ESPN Plus,
Yep.
which also carries the FA Cup and the League Championship games.
That's pretty awesome.
Which is, I love the championship, and it's so much fun to watch.
The bait and switch, $5 a month. It'll be $60 a month next year.
We'll see, but this year we'll enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like the dude that, hey, it's a nice day today. It's gonna rain tomorrow.
EPL is still on NBC Sports
Network, yes.
Yep, NBC Network.
And
go ahead.
The Bundesliga is on Fox
Still,
Fox Network.
Yep.
And that's basically.
And now let's talk La Liga and BN and Comcast.
So now BN was renegotiating whatever with Comcast and Verizon and all them, and got into it over fees. Like, they have their own story, like, on their side. Comcast has their own story on their side, blaming each other. I don't give a fuck. If you're trying to squeeze them out and give it to a major network, do it. If you're trying to just renegotiate, do it.
Do it. Like, come on.
But just figure it out. Like, I don't need to hear about your shit.
Yep.
Like, I just need to turn on the fucking TV, which you fucking charge us out of the ass for.
Yep.
I shouldn't have to ask people for logins to watch games because you fucking took away a channel that I fucking pay for.
Yep. Awful. Last thing I'd like to mention is, there are plenty of streaming options. First Row Sports is a good option. There's also the other one called Fubo TV?
Fubo is pay though. First
Pay
Row
though,
Sports is,
but it gives you all of it.
Yeah,
that's
you
the
get
only
like
thing.
multiple BN channels and stuff.
Yeah, First Row is kind of like on the pirate level, but this stuff is Fubo is for like $45 a month, but you get like all the stations.
Yeah, and it's clear. It's all HD.
Yep. It's an option. Like, instead of going across 5 different platforms, I find it fascinating. I can just go to one if I really wanted to. Word up, man. We're not going to talk on that. There's a whole other podcast out there that talks just about football coverage. It's actually fascinating, man. We talked about last year about Liga MX being the highest rated football league in America.
As it should be.
As it should be. Build that wall around Univision or something. I don't know. Anyway, jokes. I got jokes, man, and that's the match. It is a wrap. It is all done. This match is in the books. Please check out Diving for Glory every Monday. That's where we're posting on iTunes at divingforglory.com. You can catch us on Twitter. You can catch us on Facebook, man. Check us on YouTube. Just listen to us, man. Listen to us talk shit, and then hit us up. And we're going to go watch some soccer now, man.
We out.
Peace.
Diving.
What do you think of condoms? It's very
not a man. There's nothing more to say.
Diving
Glory.